All right, to wrap this whole thing up, let's do a recap of our main points. First, what is the armor? How do we put the armor on? What does standing mean? How do we stand? And why do we stand? What is the armor? The armor is Christ-like attributes. Every piece is important. Every piece has a purpose. You need every piece. We've been talking a lot about doctors comparing the armor of God and this entire vision here to what it's like to be a doctor. And just like how a doctor needs their tools, in the same way a Christian needs the armor. They need to have the armor with them. They need to have the armor on them. And they need to know their armor. That brings us to point 2. How do we put the armor on? You put the armor of God on by learning, studying, and practicing. So you need to learn the armor. You need to know what it is. You need to study it, which is more than learning it. You need to not only know what it is, but you need to know it so much that, like, there's no way that you're going to not know it. And you need to practice it. You need to do it a lot. Use it. Just like how a doctor first has to go 4 years to learn and study their tools and their practices, and then they have to go 4 to 7 years to practice their practice. In the same way, we need to have this idea in putting on the armor of God that we need to learn it, study it, practice it. I guess it's not exactly the same as being a doctor because you don't really get a practice run in life. But I think that you get the point. What does standing mean? I think this is our central point. What does standing mean? Standing means bringing the gospel forward. It means not letting your faith get pushed over. Remember we talked about the 2 kinds of faith. We talked about the first faith, which is belief, trust, those kind of things. Having a faith in God, having a faith in the Bible, that sort of thing. And we talked about the second kind of faith, which is who you are after you got saved, after God saved you. Your relationship with God, your religious beliefs. That's the faith that I'm talking about. The gospel is the faith. So the 2 faiths, trust and gospel, okay? So what standing is moving forward with that faith, not letting it get pushed over, not letting it get beaten down, not being tempted by these things, not giving into the temptation. I mean everyone gets tempted, but not giving into the temptations. You're holding it up, okay? That's what standing is holding it up, bringing it forward. How do we stand? We stand in God's might. We stand by having the first kind of faith, trusting God, believing God, leaning on Him, letting the Holy Spirit work in us is how we are able to stand. Sorry, I got lost. That's what standing, that's what standing is. So last, how do we stand? Now I'm so lost. Why do we stand? Why do we stand is my last point. I'm so sorry. We stand for 2 reasons that we went over. First, because God told us to. Okay? It was kind of brief, but we talked about that God doesn't need to give us the answers, right? We are supposed to obey no matter if we understand or not. So the first point is we stand because God told us to. It says, therefore stand, right? Even if that was just it, we still know that's what we're supposed to do. It's just like if you told a little kid, don't touch the outlet. If you told them, stay away from the road. They don't have to understand why, They don't have to, they probably don't understand electricity. They don't understand what would happen if they got hit by a car. They don't understand these things, but they obey because of their faith. They trust you, right? First kind of faith. They trust you. And in the same way, if we have faith, we trust in God, we obey him, even if we don't understand why. But the second point, the second part of why we stand is because it's our job. It's required in our job. Our job is to spread the gospel to all the nations, right? Bring it forward, which is like how we stand, or what's the other thing? What standing means. It's required in our job. So if we're not standing, we're not doing our job, to spread the gospel to all the nations. I think that wraps it all up. I hope three things. I hope that you learned something. I hope you were encouraged, and I hope that this lesson brought you closer to God. Thank you for spending this time listening to me. I hope you have a good day.